morning, Player Profiler. It is the Podfather and Theo on Wake and Take. We've taken over Wake and Take. Happy birthday to Jason Allwine. Enjoy the day, buddy. We got this. Your man, Theo, and the Podfather have got this. We've been talking a lot, man. We've been doing a lot of videos. We've been doing a lot of shows, and yet I haven't had a chance to really dig in to these big blockbuster trades. These are pretty blockbustery. I mean, Davante Adams and Amari Cooper, pretty blockbustery to me. Who do you want to talk about first?
Dealer's choice, Matt. I think they're both like so massive, and yeah, we missed it by like a couple hours. And it's I said to you the other day, it's like a weird week because during the summer, Matt and I will podcast together at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. But then this year, we're like on separate islands. We're like talking on the phone, but we're hardly ever on the screen together. So this week, I think we'll be on the screen together like 3 times. We did that incredible AMA that you can still go check out on YouTube and Reddit. Unbelievable time we had yesterday. So yeah, we're on Wake and Take. And shout out to Jason Allwine, Matt. You mentioned the birthday. I'm actually shocked. Jason looks so good for 49 years old. It's truly remarkable. Right. I don't know what he's in his diet or his exercise, but it's just great. 49 years old today, Jason Allwine. So yeah, your pick, Matt. Your dealer's choice.
He needs to share his skincare regime.
Yeah, he does.
Right? So that's so what he needs to do. What are you doing, man? What are you doing to keep that skin looking so tight and glowing? Wow. Right? I wish. He's older than me.
Clean living.
And I look at least a decade older than him. It's crazy. It's a wild thing. Jason Allwine, he's found the fountain of youth, and it's possible that Davante Adams is the fountain of youth for Aaron Rodgers.
So this is a fun one because it's so many layers for what do we talk about fantasy football wise. You get Garrett Wilson is the number 1 target earner in the NFL right now. We had the Garrett Wilson fear over the first few weeks of the season, and then the last 2 weeks have just been like ecstasy for Garrett Wilson managers. He's like 33 targets in 2 games, like 22 catches. And it's sort of like, hey, we're back, everybody. We're going to get that ADP value that we drafted. And then one of the greatest target earners of all time gets traded to the Jets and gets like, even though, Matt, we've heard about this all summer long and it's been rumored, it was still just like a shockwave through fantasy football because what does this do? Like this guy, Davante Adams, has had 169 or more targets for 3 straight seasons. Now he's attached to Garrett Wilson. It's an offense that has really good skill position players now with those guys, and then they don't block particularly well, but they pass a ton. They're, I believe, have the 3rd most pass attempts per game in the NFL right now, and over the last 3 games, it's been even higher. I think they're number 1 over the last 3, like 43.5 pass attempts per game. So you've got, so the way I unpack it is, it's not great for Garrett Wilson. Any way you want to kind of talk about it, like the idea that the pie grows larger, sure. I think the pie does get a little bit larger. The offense overall gets better, but you're not going to see those insane target games for Garrett Wilson. And when it comes down to it, does the muscle memory kick in for Aaron Rodgers, where when the going gets tough and he needs a completion on 3rd down, if he needs a completion in the red zone, if he's looking for somebody in the end zone, does he favor Davante Adams? Like Garrett Wilson doesn't disappear. He's still a very strong mid wide receiver 2, but I think they sort of cannibalize one another. And instead of getting like a guy we could bank on with like alpha wide receiver 1 type usage, you end up with like 2 kind of locked in wide receiver 2s. Just sort of my take.
Oh, God. This is a tricky one, man. Yeah. This is a real quandary. What a dilemma. I was talking to Evan Ringler, man. I go back to Evan Ringler all the time when I have these kind of dilemmas, you and Evan. And his position it surprised me. I was like, young guy, super into the metrics. He's going to have some case for Garrett Wilson to retain his alpha receiver status. But no. He is certain that it is Davante Adams. It is the Davante Adams show. Davante Adams is still just 31 years old. He's still just 31 years old. We've seen players like Steve Smith, Larry Fitzgerald have big productive seasons at age 34, 35. 31 years old for Davante Adams, a guy that takes care of his body. He can be very productive. I think he's skill play at a very high level, and he will be the primary target for Aaron Rodgers. And it's really bad for Garrett Wilson because there's also Breece Hall. Breece Hall is one of the great check down options in the NFL right now. If you're a quarterback and Breece Hall is running a route out of the backfield, like you always know you can go to him and it'll be a positive play. So where does that leave Garrett Wilson? I don't love it. I don't love it for him.
Yeah.
I think it's a full-blown target squeeze. Mike Williams was dust already. No one was playing Mike Williams. Some were picking up and playing some Lazard, right? Lazard, very volatile, wide receiver 2, has weeks because of that rapport with Aaron Rodgers. Now that's supplanted by Davante Adams. It's just going to be a consolidated target distribution between Adams, Wilson, Hall, Wilson, Adams. We love that. We love that for Davante Adams. This is a good thing for Davante Adams. This is a quarterback upgrade, an offense upgrade. It's great for Davante Adams. He can be the wide receiver 9, wide receiver 10. But it also means that there's no way Garrett Wilson's going to get there. Aaron Rodgers is about to turn 41 years old, and he likes his painkillers and his homeopathic remedies and his hallucinogens. That's not the same cocktail that Tom Brady was taking. So I don't trust Aaron Rodgers to have the same kind of early 40s success that we saw from Tom Brady. Tom Brady broke a lot of brains, and the Jets still feel like, hey, we have Aaron Rodgers. We got to go for it. Fire the coach. Bring in Davante Adams. That'll fix it. You know that's not going to fix it, though. That's the thing. It's not going to fix it. And so you have these twin forces that are dragging down Garrett Wilson specifically, which is you have the presence of Davante Adams, plus it's Aaron Rodgers. He plays slow. He's not that efficient anymore. He's been having multi-interception games, which is super uncharacteristic. I don't love it. He's at 6.4 yards per attempt, which is down from 6.8 in 2022. All of his efficiency metrics have been just a steady decline. So you have a slow pace of play, declining efficiency. You have an high-level target competition. It makes Garrett Wilson a sell in all formats. I think the sell in seasonal leagues is obvious, and you're probably not going to get what you're hoping to get back if you put Garrett Wilson on the block in a seasonal league. But in Dynasty, see there, you're going to have a Dynasty manager that's going to love the young talent, the young uber talent in Garrett Wilson. That would be interesting to put him on the block in Dynasty and see what kind of offers come back.
Yeah.
Do it. Do that.
I think that's an interesting one. You also could potentially do it after Monday night, because Monday night they play the Steelers. It's Davante Adams' first game. He's going to play. So that still might be a Garrett Wilson game. And then the shift might happen maybe in Davante Adams' second week, maybe there. It's a lot to ask a guy to get off the plane and absorb like 12 targets against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think you might want to wait a week, and then you could look and say, Garrett Wilson still had 11 targets against Pittsburgh, and he was still the number one read versus Adams, who had like 6 targets because his first game. I think that might be the move. But you touched on one thing, Matt. I think if there is going to be a big winner here on the Jets, certainly you made the case for Davante Adams as the winner, but this Todd Downing looked like he's back to utilizing Breece Hall fully. Like, we love Braylon Allen, but Braylon Allen is now looking more like a contingent play, and Breece Hall got all the volume you wanted to see,
yes,
all the usage you wanted to see, and now if the pie grows larger, even if Breece Hall goes from like a 14% target share guy down to like a 12 or 11% target share guy, like those targets are not going to disappear. It's not like he's going up against Davante Adams. Like, running back targets are running back targets, and even if they target the running back slightly less, it's still going to be part of the game plan. So like Todd Downing has been a major boost for Breece Hall. And if the argument that the pie grows larger and the offense gets 10, 15% better with Davante Adams' inclusion, then I think Breece Hall is the big winner here. And we didn't even talk about the really big winner here. How about our guy Brock Bowers to the freaking moon,
Well,
Matt?
we're going to talk
How
about that
Brock
in a
Bowers
minute, but
to
I
the
just want
moon?
to summarize
moon.
for the Jets. Yes, Brock Bowers to the moon. With the Jets, Rodgers up, Adams up, Breece Hall way up because of the coaching change and the more potent offense. Lazard down, Garrett Wilson down, and Tyler Conklin down because of the law of the conservation of targets. And that law of the conservation of targets also is a boost to Brock Bowers. Doesn't have to worry about this incoming red ball situation of Davante Adams. He's now going to be the alpha for the rest of the season. He's our tight end one in all formats at playerprofiler.com. Check out the rankings, see for yourself. And nice little buy low on Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, great call. Jacoby Myers is a sneaky one here. It's been like 4 straight years of averaging double-digit PPR points, and like Bowers can't do it all. He's 21 years old. Myers is going to be a very solid play every week. I think nothing spectacular, but that's a guy that's going to be like 12 points per game, and he's easy to get in trades, easy to get on your dynasty roster. And Matt, we always have this situation like Myers is in a 3-year deal. I imagine they'll probably bring him back next year because even if they draft a wide receiver, which they probably will, do they choose to use a first-round pick on one this year? I don't know. The team's got a lot of holes, and they might be in the market for a quarterback. So you might end up with a Jacoby Myers.
Might be in a market for a quarterback?
Might be. There might be some interest in that. Might be some interest in a quarterback there. So yeah, I'm with you. Myers is a really, really strong call. That's an easy one to get in as like a throw in on deals, and also to have it in terms of depth on your dynasty roster or your redraft roster. I like that call a lot. But like you said, Brock Bowers, we've seen him with an extremely high target share, elite usage, and now it's sort of like you don't have the looming presence of Davante Adams potentially returning. So the coaching staff is going to start designing more of their game plan for the rest of the season, like to catering to Brock Bowers' strengths and really building around it. And this is a guy that's going to just steam up in 2025 redraft as well. So we love Brock Bowers. We've had him at number 1 for a while, and he will continue to be there. So stoked for that one. What about Amari Cooper, Matt? Oh, and I'll add one thing. Mike Williams, we're getting the word that he's also going to get traded. And the market for him is actually interesting because he's got a very user-friendly deal. So teams are not going to have to take on too much of a contract at all. And Mike Williams has a really pretty strong trade market. There's rumors that Pittsburgh, New Orleans, the Chargers, and then it's been rumored that maybe a few other teams throw their names into the hat there. So I think the Jets will at least clear out Mike Williams, which is nothing too spectacular, but that's just another trade to kind of keep an eye out for.
Are you seeing the screen?
It's an interesting picture, Matt.
If you had any doubts about whether the Raiders would be in the market for a quarterback, just a reminder, their quarterbacks are currently a guy with a Fu Manchu and a guy with a fringy scumbag mustache.
Maybe he needs to get on like the Joe Rogan jaw tightening thing. It's like the thing you chew on. I think Aiden O'Connell could use that.
Aiden O'Connell's got a little bit of a double chin going on. That's true.
Not a great look for a young quarterback.
This, if this is what you're looking at the quarterback position, then you're not only in the market, like you're trying to get the 101. You need the 101. That's what you need to fix that quarterback situation. Amari Cooper. That was quite the lever pull to just, opt into a little bit of a trap door, pull the lever, slide through. You're in worst case scenario, and then bing, you land in best case scenario, where you're the clear, unequivocal alpha for one of the best quarterbacks in the league, a team that has a defense that's in flux, an offensive line that's in flux, where they just have to throw Amari Cooper 8 to 10 targets a game. So this was an even better upgrade, and even a more radical upgrade for Amari Cooper than even Davante Adams. And so if you have Amari Cooper and you've been gutting it out with him, benching him some weeks where the game was getting dragged into the mud, now he's an auto start every week. Giddy up.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And I think that it's sort of like we saw how impactful Amari Cooper was down the stretch last year, where he really helped teams. I know, like, he was one of the key advance rate guys in best ball leagues where he had that massive, second to last week in the fantasy playoffs where he just goes absolutely nuts with Joe Flacco. Last year, we saw him finish as like a top 17 wide receiver in PPR scoring. And I love it because the Buffalo Bills went into the season with Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, and then guys like Curtis Samuel, guys like Mac Hollins, and they're thinking we're just going to kind of do it in aggregate. And you know what? It really wasn't working. Josh Allen is quarterback 6 in points per game. He still looks fantastic. He still is capable of giving us these spike weeks. But everything was more difficult for Josh Allen, and everything has been so running back centric in this Joe Brady offense. The Bills are second to last in pass attempts per game. And I think adding Amari Cooper helps everyone. It gives them a proper number one target earner. It gives them a guy who can be a 25% target share guy right away. This is Amari Cooper's 4th team in the NFL. He's always been viewed as just elite talent. You know, Matt, he was the number 3 overall pick in the NFL draft one of the highest drafted wide receivers ever. This is a guy that is now on his 4th team, and it's really the best chance that he's had to make a Super Bowl with Josh Allen with this team. So I love the fact that they lost Stephon Diggs, they lost Gabe Davis, and now they are quickly not only just like kind of being reactionary to the Jets move, where if a team in the AFC East goes and makes a strong move, we're going to do the same thing, but they're saying, hey, we didn't get this right, and we want to put Josh Allen in this position to succeed. Let's go rectify sort of our mistake this offseason, and let's go get him an elite target earner. I love it. I love it for Amari Cooper. I love it for Josh Allen. I love it for the Bills. And I think it makes everybody on the Bills sort of in a proper place. Dalton Kincaid is not a tight end that we can bank on to be a Travis Kelce-like figure. It's just not what he is. I was a little too enthusiastic about him, and I know a lot of people were this offseason, but I think he'll finish higher than he is. Yeah, but I think, like Matt, like he's tight end 12 on the year. I think he'll actually finish higher in the tight end finish with Amari Cooper there. I would bet on Dalton Kincaid finishing as like somewhere in the top 8 tight ends. He'll move up a little bit. It's better for Khalil Shakir, who slats in as a wide receiver 2. And then it's better for Keon Coleman, who's actually averaging like 7.5 points per game. And now he can just go and not have any pressure on him, chance to develop. They've got a proper wide receiver there, a proper target earner, and everybody else just slots into where they are. The Bills will take a step forward. I love it for Josh Allen, love it for Amari Cooper, love it for everybody.
Curtis Samuel's dust, and Keon Coleman's not going to happen. Okay?
Not this year.
Stop trying to make Keon Coleman a thing. He's not going to be a thing. The whole case for Keon Coleman was that there was no target competition there other than Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. Now that's been vaporized. He is going to be a rotational wide receiver, that he's going to be matchup based. He's going to score a couple touchdowns here and there. This is not a player that you could ever trust to start. And he's now on a developmental track. And the probability of him ever breaking out is now lower because he's not having the opportunity he would have now that Amari Cooper is there. But I agree, it does not necessarily help Dalton Kincaid, but it doesn't hurt, right? The attention defenses are going to have to give to Amari Cooper, and the improved offensive efficiency will offset any loss of target share. Khalil Shakir, I think he's similar enough to Amari Cooper where it's a net negative for him, but I'm still more bullish on Shakir than others, and I have been all year. It's just great for Amari Cooper. That's really the bottom line. And it's great for Josh Allen, too. This is basically a redo of their Stephon Diggs acquisition. It's Stephon Diggs Redux. They try to see if he can go without quality receivers, and then they're disappointed. They're like, okay, never mind. We'll go get a stud. And so they did that, and that's great. In Cleveland, Judy is now the primary option for whoever is the quarterback there.
David Njoku.
Well, the next shoe to drop in Cleveland is going to be the pulling of Deshaun Watson eventually at halftime at some point, and the insertion of Mr. Jameis Winston. So you have no Amari Cooper, check, and soon Jameis Winston under center, check. That's how Jerry Jeudy gets there. I've never been a Jerry Jeudy advocate, but I now have more Jerry Jeudy than I ever have, and I'm still an Elijah Moore truther. Elijah Moore is now the number 2 option, or the number 3 after David Njoku. I think it goes Jeudy, Njoku, Moore. But this team's going to be playing from behind a lot. I think all 3 of them are going to be useful fantasy assets. So in deep leagues, I also like them. Clearly, David Njoku is very attractive. Jerry Jeudy, very attractive. Elijah Moore, mildly attractive.
So for me, I would not try to do mental gymnastics on the wide receivers. I think they'll take a look at a couple other guys. I think Cedric Tillman maybe gets a little looked here. I know in the preseason they liked him. So for me, I think it's David Njoku. Jerry Jeudy, you're probably right, Matt. If there ever is going to be a time for Jerry Jeudy, then it's now. But we haven't seen that. He sort of always lets us down. But on the flip side,
if he lets us down, then that's the opening for Elijah Moore. We truther for guys that are quality players. It took 4 years for Tyler Lockett, who's best comparable to Elijah Moore, and Elijah Moore is best comparable to Tyler Lockett. Took Lockett 4 years to break out. It's not over for Elijah Moore. This is the situation that he needed. I think he's worth truthering. He's worth stashing and holding on to in deep seasonal leagues. Don't drop him in Dynasty. But it's interesting how the tight end position is getting turned around. Bauer's a big winner. Njoku a big winner. Probably a push for Dalton Kincaid. You're seeing Kittle thriving. The tight end position is making a comeback.
Yeah, you're right. Trey McBride is in a great position, especially with Marvin Harrison Jr. out this week. This could be another strong week for tight end scoring. Tucker Kraft gave us 2 really strong weeks in a row, and then last week not so much, but this week with a really strong matchup against Houston. And Matt, we talked about it the other day when we recorded that Minnesota-Detroit game. Even though Laporta, everything's sort of not right in terms of the number of targets. If I told you right now that Sam Laporta scores 2 touchdowns this weekend on 4 targets, you wouldn't necessarily brush that one off because that game could really, really shoot out. So yeah, it's a strong week for tight ends. I love David Njoku. This is a guy down the stretch. It was Evan Ingram or David Njoku. You had to have one of those 2 guys down the stretch. And he helped people win leagues last year. I think people kind of forget just how good David Njoku was. Regardless of the quarterback, I think Njoku is looking at Evan Ingram-like usage, Trey McBride-like usage moving forward. I think you're going to see a very, very high target share. I think he'll be a primary read on a lot of plays. And it's sort of out of necessity. You also have Nick Chubb coming back. We don't know what that's going to do. I think me and you would both be very pessimistic on anybody thriving in this offense. But Nick Chubb is sort of like this emotional leader that commands respect from his teammates, huge in the locker room, huge in the organization. And I think his return is hey, Deshaun, hand the ball off a bunch of times. And I think for me, if Chubb is able to come back strong, Njoku is going to benefit a lot from that with play action. Because Chubb is a guy when he's going, nobody really runs better. So I'm on the pessimistic side with Chubb, but I hope I'm wrong. Browns games are unwatchable right now. Chubb could quickly make that team at least hey, we're rooting for Nick Chubb, sort of like a Midwest version of J.K. Dobbins, where we're rooting for him so much when he's back on the field this year. So yeah, it's a lot of fun subplots with all these trades, man. I hope we get a bunch more trades. We might have to do another wake and take. We might have to steamroll a wake and take, Matt, if there's another trade next week.
More trades, please, NFL. To summarize the big winners, Amari Cooper, big winner. Davante Adams, big winner. Aaron Rodgers, big winner. Brock Bowers, big winner. Jacoby Myers, big winner. Breece Hall, under the radar, giant winner, but perhaps no one other than Amari Cooper benefiting more than Mr. David Njoku. Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.